Hello, I'm Mr. Polk and welcome to my kitchen. Today we want to take a look at making chicken tenders. And I know you think of chicken tenders, like something that's kind of low end, but a really good chicken tender can be really crispy, it can be moist, and we can pair it with a really nice sauce. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go ahead and use our chicken tenderloins that we were able to process, and we'll be able to take one of our chicken breasts and pound it flat and cut it into strips, and you'll be able to make your chicken tendies. The other thing that we'll do is we'll be able to make a honey mustard sauce, and what I'm going to show you next is the trick that really keeps things going. We're going to make these in the oven, and the trick is we're going to take our breadcrumbs and we're going to pre-toast them. When you pre-toast your breadcrumbs, then when they go in the oven, they're already toasty and they'll just get even toastier, and you'll get really nice chicken tenders coming out of the oven versus a deep fryer. Okay, so we have our 10-inch saute. I have about 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil in the bottom, and you want to let it get warm. You don't want to get it to the point of smoke or anything. You just want to have some heat coming off. Then I've got about 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs of choice are the panko, the Japanese style breadcrumbs. And this is a tricky job. And I'm going to say that because when you do this, it takes a long time. And you're doing it, and you're stirring and stirring and stirring, and you're like, nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden, it goes from 0 to 60, and you blink your eye and they're burnt. So it takes a long time at first to get them to start to toast. But then once they toast, it happens very quickly. We want to toast these till they're golden brown. Okay. Now these also get some seasoning. They get some garlic, salt, or granulated garlic, and they get some paprika. But do not put that on until the end. That's a big mistake, is people will put that in now and then they'll get super dark. Okay? So we're just going to go ahead and keep stirring these. So here you can see once they start to darken, look how quick when I turn them on the pan they start to get dark. So we're almost at that golden brown color that I want. So one of the things I always teach with cooking is you're in charge of the heat. So if it's getting too fast, notice I just lifted the pan up. And I just keep getting underneath because the pans themselves hold a lot of heat. At this point, I'm going to give it one more go around. And then here's a mistake a lot of people make too, is they will keep cooking in this pan. Once they get nice and toasty, we need to take them out. Okay, we need to take them out right away. And these are looking good. They are looking good. So I'm going to put them right in my tray here. Turn off my burner. And then I'm going to put my seasoning in. So that's the granulated garlic, and then the paprika, and then I'm just going to mix them around. And you can see that the paprika adds to the color of the breadcrumbs, so it makes them look even more toasty. But you can see that it didn't take long. Once they start to get color, you can easily go to burnt. So you must be careful, and again, don't put the seasoning in first because you will start to toast the seasoning, and that'll dark it. And never let them in the pan because they'll just keep browning in the pan because of the heat retained in that bottom layer. Okay, now that we have our chicken breast, what I want to do is show you how to flatten it. This is a trick restaurants do all the time, because if you tried to cook it just like this, what's going to happen is this end is thick, this is thin, this is going to cook, done, but this isn't going to be done, and you're just going to have a mess. So we want to flatten it all to about 1/2 inch. Now, you don't want to overdo it because you will actually tenderize it till it's like stringy. So you want to use your mallet. And if you don't have a mallet, I mean, sometimes I use a saute pan or a cast iron pan or whatever you got. And you don't want to just like Polk smash it, okay? You want to work it, all right? Because I don't want to tear that top surface of the skin. So what I'm doing here is I'm just moving the mallet around and I'm causing it to smash out, all right? If I just went whack, Polk smashed it, I could actually break through right there. Okay, and tear the surface of the chicken. So I'm just going to go around like this, and I'm just going to keep doing it until I'm at a thickness of about 1/2 inch. Okay, and it's important too, if you notice, I have it in 2 pieces of saran wrap, and that's the way you do it. Some people say, oh, I don't need the saran wrap, and they put it on their counter and they start doing this and they get chicken pieces everywhere. Okay, so this is what you want to do, and here we are. We're at about 1/2 inch thick, nice even thickness, and then we're going to be able to cut this however we need to. Okay, now that you've pounded it flat, this is for the chicken tenders. One thing I like to do is, you notice this is the side that was under the skin. It's very smooth, all right? And then you have your side that was in towards the chicken. So when we saute and things, we'll always want that side as our finished side. I always call that the factory side. But even with our tenders, we want to do that. Now, these are the tenderloins. If you remember, these came out of the chicken. And these are ready to go. But what we can do for chicken tenders is we don't have to just use the tenderloins. We can cut strips out of here. Now, one thing you want to do is we talked a lot in the lessons about the grain of the meat. And I'll turn it over so you can really see the grain. You can see that the muscles are going this way, okay? If I were to cut these strips like this, you would have a strip of chicken with the muscle going straight. And when you bite, you'll bite through the muscle. Whereas if I cut it this way, you'll bite in between the connective tissue, and that's what you want. Because if you look at how the actual tenderloins are, that's how they are. That's why when you break them open, they break on that like fault line of the chicken. Okay? So what we're going to do is we want to make our slices this way. We're just going to make slices here to kind of mimic what a chicken tender would look like. So that's like an inch or so. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut them in half. So I have just some nice sized chicken tenders, and then this guy will just get rid of that funny end. And now we have a couple chicken tenders, and now we're ready to take a look at breading them. Okay, let's take a look at breading. And what you see here is what we call a breading station. Your seasoned flour, your eggs, your breadcrumbs. And we're going to put them on the screen so that the air flows around them. And one thing I like to do is spray it with a little bit of pan spray so it doesn't stick. And what you're going to do is you need to have a wet hand and a dry hand. So this is going to be our dry hand. This is going to be our wet hand. So we're going to take what we're going to bread, our tenders. We're going to go in the flour, back over. And then now the dry hand is going to take it into the wet, but then that's where the wet hand takes over. And we're going to flip it over this side and that side. And then it's going to come out of the wet into the breadcrumbs. But now this is where the dry hand comes back. And you do a little flick. You flick the breadcrumbs over. And then you just press them in so that your breading looks really nice. Put that on both sides. And then that goes on the tray. And then we do the same thing again. Dry hand, okay, goes like that, goes into the wet. And I do the same thing with the wet hand, get the end wet a little bit so you're not touching the dry flour. And then from there it goes right in the breadcrumbs. And I give them a little shake. And then now we switch to the dry hand and we flip them over. And that's how we do a really nice breading station. And then the last thing that I like to do before these guys go in the oven is I want to give them a spray. And what I do is I'll just take the pan spray, I spray them on the one side, okay, and then I'll move them over here so you can see them, and I turn them over, and then I spray them on the other side. And now they're ready to go in the oven, 375 to 400 degrees, so they come out beautifully golden brown. Okay, let's check out the oven cam. Oh, they're looking beauteous. See how nice and crispy they get? They get that beautiful color because of the toasted breadcrumbs. These look awesome. Let's go ahead and plate these. Okay, let's take a look at finishing. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a real simple honey mustard dipping sauce. We're going to start with about a half cup of just plain mayonnaise. We'll put that into the bowl. And then we'll do our mustard. We'll do 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard, just your classic yellow. And then we'll do a tablespoon of Dijon. And then we're going to add 4 tablespoons of honey. And then to balance it all out, we're going to go ahead and add some lemon juice. We'll end up adding about half tablespoon or 1.5 teaspoons of your lemon juice. And then you just whisk that together. And this is to taste. You can go ahead and taste it and see what you like. But this makes a really nice honey mustard dipping sauce. Okay. Then we're going to go ahead and put that in here. Just like that. Oh, that looks great. And then the last piece of the puzzle is we're going to bring in our chicken tenders. And these look great. Okay. We're going to go ahead and place them on here. And you can, plate them like you were at a restaurant where you cross them over so they look fancy. But these are really nice chicken tenders. They have a really nice color to them because of the toasted breadcrumbs, and they go really well with the honey mustard sauce. So thank you for cooking with me today, and I can't wait to cook with you real soon right here in Mr. Polk's kitchen.